Hello everyone, my name is Anthony Palmer. In this video, I'm going to give you a quick overview of the new and improved OEE Optimizer. Without further ado, let's jump right in. So the first thing you'll see when you come to the new version of Optimizer is the login screen. To log in, simply click the login button at the top of the page, and a login window will pop up. All you have to do is enter your email address and password if you have Optimizer credentials. If you already have existing credentials, they will carry over to this new version. If you do not have credentials, please reach out to the Optimizer team at oeeo@automationnth.com. For this example, I'm just going to log myself in. So let me use my email for my credentials, type in my password really quickly, and I can click continue. Now before I do that, just a couple quick notes for you. First off, your browser may block this pop-up from appearing. Your browser will notify you in the top right of the URL bar if it does so. Please click there and choose to allow pop-ups from this website to ensure that the login window will always pop up. Secondly, we have settings in place to save your login information so it will automatically log you in whenever you visit the site. These are unfortunately blocked by default for both Chrome and Firefox. For Chrome, go into your settings and enable cookies. For Firefox, go to the top left of the URL. There will be a shield symbol there. Simply click that and choose to disable tracking protection for this website. Now, let's go ahead and log in. So we'll click continue. Once we click continue, this will appear. You'll see that it is loading the dashboard, then binding the dataset, and then the page will appear. So at first glance, there's a lot of different things on the page, a lot of new features that we did not have previously. The first thing you'll note is the new navigation bar in the top left. This will let you navigate quickly between pages, and I'll give a quick overview of each page really quickly, but each of them will have their own dedicated video in this playlist. So first is the system view. This is your general overview of the system. You'll be able to see OEE, availability, yield, efficiency, output metrics, the heat map, which allows us to look at different cells within our machines to see where the problem areas lie, a count or duration of downtime events, and a count of rejects for different reasons. The output summary page is, as it says, a summary of output. Here we can see cycle time by machine. We can see system output and rejects, both by time frame and by grouping. I will show you what that means here shortly, but for right now we have it set to location and type by default for these two, and we have it set to bin the data by hour for these two. Next, let's look at the yield trends, where we can see the trends of our yield and our rejects in various different criteria. You can see here the reject chart that is very similar to the one on the system view page. We have color coding for all the different rejects, which corresponds to the reject trends chart if we were to do a split. The split view allows us to see all of the different rejects spread out across the chart, while the all view breaks it down on a per line basis. We also have yield by line or by other groupings, which we can look to shortly. We have reject event count by those groupings, and we have yield by time frame. So it could be by hour, it could be by day. We can cycle through those. I will show you how to do some of those things here in a minute. The final primary page is the downtime trends page. This page does very similarly to the yield trends, where we can see the downtime events by duration or count, with these filters actually controlling the entire page's output. We can view availability by groupings, we can view downtime by groupings, and we can view trends for downtime either by line or by event. So that's a lot to take in. So for this video, I'm going to focus primarily on the system view page and give you a general idea of the primary tools you'll be using going straight in. First off, we have our gauges at the top of the page. So these gauges measure OEE score, availability, yield, and efficiency. We have metrics below availability, yield, and efficiency to track some of the specifics. For example, how many hours of uptime or downtime your machines have, how many good parts versus bad parts, the current cycle time versus the ideal cycle time. All very easy to see, very quick to digest. Secondly, we have the output chart, new and improved. So the green lines are the total parts, in this case, total parts per hour. It's on a fairly fine level right now, but we can adjust that, which I'll show in a minute. We can also see percentage of rejects at those different times and percentage of downtime at those different times. We can also cycle the output to be across a few different metrics. So we currently have it across time intervals. We can also do it on a per machine basis, or we can do it on a per line basis. All of these options are available just simply clicking these buttons at the top. Very, very easy to navigate. The next feature we'll look at is the heat map. This is similar to the heat map in the older version of Optimizer, where we can look at each individual cell by line and by machine. So for example, if I wanted to look at machine B on line 2, I would simply go there. Hovering over it, you can see the OEE, availability, yield, and efficiency for that individual machine. And we have something special that I'll go into more detail on another video called drill through, where if we are to right click, drill through, and go to cell details, we get a special page that allows us to see details about that individual cell across whatever time frame we're in, giving us more specifics into why that particular cell is having trouble or why it's succeeding. We can simply click the back arrow to go to the previous page, and it'll take us right back where we were. The next charts to look at are the downtime Pareto and the reject Pareto. The downtime Pareto shows us all of the different downtime events sorted by either duration or by count, depending on which one of these you've selected. We can now scroll through this chart, so it's very easy to get further down and see all the different rejects. Hovering over allows you to see the amount of downtime and what unit that downtime is currently in, along with an event code and an event name. If we switch to count, then it will sort it by the count of events instead of the duration of those events, and we can still see the event code and the event name. Now for the reject Pareto, this is very similar. This shows us all of the different reasons for rejects and the count of that reject reason that have occurred. Hovering over this gives us the event code, the event name, and the reject event count. And again, we can scroll through this very easily to see all of the different reject reasons. The next new feature that we'd like to look at is called focus mode. So we can go to any of the primary charts on the page, so in this case output, heat map, downtime, or rejects, and we can go to this little icon right here that's called focus mode. If we click focus mode, it will pop this chart out to be its own visual, taking up the entire page. This makes it easier to see if there are finer details that you would like to dig into. It makes it very easy to get a cleaner grasp of it instead of being restricted to the area of the page which the chart is assigned to. We can do several things with these charts that we could not do before. The primary of these is called drill up and drill down. It's a new feature for us where it allows us to adjust what we're looking at. So take, for example, this output chart right here. It is currently looking at time interval, and you can see based on the label that we're looking at everything in our groupings. If I were to click this arrow right here, this is called drill up, this would adjust what we see. So now it went from an hour grouping to a day grouping. So now we can see the total output for an entire day, in this case ranging from November 1st all the way to November 21st. You can go further up to week groupings, where you can see how much output was produced for an entire week. This is the highest level we have in this setup. If we want to go straight back down the hierarchy, we use these double down arrows, and they'll take us straight back down. But for this example that I'm going to do next, let's go back up. We can then use what's called drill down, and we can click on an individual data point and get a bigger breakdown of that individual data point. So I clicked on a specific day, and that let us look at that specific day broken down into hours. I can go back out of that, and we can come right back up to where we were. We will go into more detail on drill up and drill down in the filtering video. Additionally, we can filter the page by using our selectors. We have a number of different selectors available. The first is adjusted OEE. If we toggle that, it will filter out certain downtime events that are affecting the overall view of how the system is actually performing. In this particular case, if we look in the downtime chart, it removes system starved and system blocked events. So by filtering those out, we can see how the machine is actually performing without considering external factors, purely the machine. This will also affect visuals across the rest of the page, including the heat map. Next, we can change the date range that we look at. There are two different ways to do that. The first is through the quick select drop-down. If you click the drop-down, you can select anything on this menu, and it will quickly put it together for you. For example, I could click yesterday, and it would show me data from yesterday. Let me drill that down slightly to where we can see it in a more sensible state. We can also spread all the way out to this year and see an entire year's worth of data from the beginning of this year to now. There are lots of different options for this, so please feel free to experiment with them. We can also set a custom date range. So for example, I can click this left box and set a new start date of April 13th. And that will filter out to where we're only looking between April 13th and the end of the year. Next, we can filter by location. So for example, I could click Nashville, and it would only show me data from the machines in Nashville. I did drill up twice just to look at day bins because it's a long time range to look at in smaller data fragments. Let me untoggle Nashville, and it'll go back to showing all data. Next, we can select island groups. So for example, I currently have all of them selected, but let's say we only wanted to look at second. We can now see the second island. Heat map is loading. We can now see the machines on island 2, which are D, E, and F. If you would like to make multiple selections like I did before with having all three, just hold down Control and click all the different selections you want in the same group. Next, we can filter by line. So in this case, we have 6 different lines to look at. If I only wanted to look at data from line 2, I could just click line 2, and it would filter everything down for me to only look at line 2 statistics. I can select multiple in this section without control clicking. If you'd like to clear your selections, just click the clear button in the top right. Finally, we have the downtime units selector. This adjusts what units our downtime is displayed in. This affects primarily the downtime Pareto, if we were to be in duration mode, and the availability gauge. Currently, the availability gauge and the downtime Pareto are displaying their data in hours, but say we wanted to display that in days instead, we just click days, and it will update that data for us to show in days instead of in hours. All of these selections that you make on the left side will be saved in the URL. So you can see up here, you can see what product we're on, you can see what view we're on, you can save data from different charts. If I go further along, we can save date selects, we can save time frames. All of this is very, very useful stuff. Now there are a few restrictions that are not saved. First is the drill up, drill down state. Additionally, if you have selected data points, it will not save these. You can select a data point just by clicking on it. Say I only wanted to look at this subset of data, I can click on it. It will not save that. It also will not save the state of any other pages. So for example, if I'm on system view and I've made some selections in yield trends or downtime trends on some of the different buttons, it will not save those, but it will save whatever is on this page. These links are very easy to generate, and you can share them with anyone who has permissions to the same page. The last couple features to talk about are the new filter pane, which is on the right side of the screen. You click it, and it will give you options to filter on an individual visual. If you were to click on the chart, it'll give you options to filter by that visual. I can do it also on the regex chart. You can see the options change. Or you can filter across the entire page. There are some very advanced options here, which we'll go into more detail on in the filtering video. Finally, we have the products pane. This gives us a listing of the different products that you have access to. This list will change based on what permissions you have. We also have links to the home for the optimizer, along with several other things based on what permissions you have. We have a link to our PLC code repository, to the automation NTH knowledge base, or to submit a ticket for support to the CSO team. We also have a few icons up top that we can use. So we have a home icon that will take us to the home page. We have the login, logout button. We have a button for bug reporting, which will help you send an email to oeeo@automationnth.com with any bugs you may encounter. And we have a button to take you to the wiki, which can give you more details about whatever you're interested in for the page. I'm going to go ahead and log out, and that will be the end of our video. Thank you for watching.